We greet all the drift sport lovers. Welcome to Sochi Autodrom Arena. This is the final stage of the 10th season of RDS Grand Prix 2019. We are preparing for this bright and colorful final of our event. Today we're going to watch the qualification at 4 p.m. We're going to watch the top 32 stage, and tomorrow we will witness the finals from top 16 to the final battle. And we are now waiting for the answer to the most vibrant question: who will be the winner of RDS 2019? Will we have the history first three-time winners of RDS, or is this super elite club? Everyone who is now at the stands. It is extremely great to see you guys here. I'm happy to see that you have preferred this type of activity to just doing nothing at the beach. So now let's take a look at the individual event table. Georgi Chivchan has got 930 score. That's a very serious score. It is so strong that the chance of Gocha is very close to 100%, if not the double score rule, which means that the winner of the qualifiers, instead of 25 score, will get 50, which is twice more. And we will see who tomorrow will celebrate the victory in the tandem runs. So top 8 will bring the 8 strongest drivers 220 points, which is twice more than at any of the 5 previous events. So it is really serious, and even the gap of 207 points from Natsui Hibino doesn't give Gocha 100% relaxation. But how can he get this? At least by making it into top 4. If Natsui gets to top 4 tomorrow, he will get 270 points, making him absolutely unreachable for any of his opponents. But we need to understand how difficult will it be to do in such a highly competitive environment, especially knowing that one of the competitors of Gocha is his friend from his team, Forward Auto. At the 6th stage, this Krasnoyarsk team has been reinforced with Novosata Kavabato. Forward Auto has an amazing team, besides the 2 Chivchan brothers. We are going to see some more new people, so I'm sure that it's going to be absolutely spectacular, and a lot will depend on the qualifiers result. But how will it be? How will this puzzle bring all these pieces together? We will see a little later upon the results of the 2 qualifier rounds. As usual, the drivers have been distributed into 6 groups depending on their individual results. The higher the rank is, the longer they will have to wait to get to the racing track. So the 6th group completely consists of Chivchan, Losev, Hibito, and Demir Diatulin. They're all the candidates for the champion's title. But since the rules have been changed a little bit, well, the regulations have been modified, now, in case of certain problems that are normally technical, the driver may submit an appeal to shift his or her attempt to the last group, which will become the 7th one. As far as I know, some drivers have already taken use of this regulation, but we will see it later. At the moment, on the screens, you can see the racing track and its layout, as it was in round 5 2018, but not always, because there have been some variations. This is the longest configuration that was preferred by the organizers to give a task of our participants of the round 6 RDS Grand Prix, 2 touch-and-go zones and 2 double-purpose zones. One is the longest, called OZ3. It's 22 meters long, and this is the most expensive one from point of view of scores in trajectory and the angle. All this reminds us of Hobbit, There and Back by Tolkien. First you need to go through touch-and-go 1 to the first external clipping zone right by the wall, and then make it into the external clipping zone number 2, which stands next to number 4, so the driver can always look at the marks on the asphalt to make it right into the zone. Then they do the spin out, filling the external clipping zone number 3, and then do the same in the opposite order. Zone 5 coincides with number 1, and then touch and go, which is evaluated by the judges as 4 points. But nevertheless, many pilots have confessed that making it into the last touch and go is not that easy as it may seem. Those who are watching our competitions for the first time should be informed. And also it should be reminded to everyone that touch and go means that the car must get into this mark with the rear wheels. You can basically do the furidashi right in the touch and go 1. Of course, it's better to do it a little bit in advance, but this is not a must to make it through the entire zone. And if you see OZ numbers and as well Z letters and the number, it means that the driver must get the rear wheels into the short line of the mark through the smaller side of the rectangle, and also exit through the short side of the rectangle too, which is not that easy, even if those zones are not that long. For example, OZ2 and OZ4 are 10 meters big. Only now you can see it on the left. But getting into this zone is not that easy as it may seem. But let me repeat, this is just in Tolkien's books, but instead of a dragon, we have this structure with the logo of our sponsor, IML company. And here is Dmitry Yermokhin looking at us from the screen. He is one of those who we know to have appealed to shift his attempt, but as far as I know, he will stay where he is. Arkady Puchinin is traditionally preparing to start his qualifiers. If the car looks familiar, well, it doesn't seem, because it was really rented from Andrei Grigoriev. This Pikachu is familiar, but the number is different. Now it's not 22, but number 10, under which Arkady Puchinin from St. Petersburg normally competes. Everything here is just the same as it was when Grigori was driving this car. I hope that the car survives with the car General Motors GSA 550 horsepower, 6.2 is the engine volume. Here is Arkady himself. He says that he is ready to win. Okay, let's see. As for statistics, it is not really representative. There are only 3 official stages that have taken place here at this stadium. It was stage 4 when Vladimir Dyatulin was the winner. Then Georgy Chivchan was the winner the other time. Together with Ruzhenikov and Saligradzev and Fyodor Vorobyov finished the top 4. And 2 stages took place last year when Georgy Chivchan and Daigo Saito were the winners. And as for the top 4, Evgeny Losev and Evgeny Ruzhenikov were there. Daigo himself, indeed. Natsui Nago won one of the stages, but he is not with us this time. Fyodor Vorobyov, that time, made an absolutely fantastic finals against the Japanese champion. Daigo Saito was the 3rd, and therefore, statistically, the qualifiers have always been won by 3 pilots, Daigo Saito, Georgy Chivchan, and Damir Dyatulin. All of them are here today, and 2 of them are competing for the champion's title. In top 4, Georgy Ryzhenikov, Fyodor Vorobyov, and Daigo Saira have been in top 4 twice. So this is our interesting statistics. Even though they mean that Gocha was in top 4 only once, but he was the first one, and so on and so forth, we can discuss it for a very long time. But let me repeat that this is not really representative information, as it can be for Nizhny Novgorod track, because there we have had much more events. Dmitry Ermokhin is now on your screens, the driver from Krasnoyarsk. He has an additional motivation besides the double score, which may be which may make no difference for the participants of the first qualifiers group, because they hardly have any chance of getting to the top 4. But this guy, Nasata Kavabato, is 4-time winner of RD Grand Prix and the history's first world champion of drift, the winner of Intercontinental Cup. There was a strange story that he was kind of IDC but the winner was coronated as a champion. It was a strange scoring system. Many drivers were not so satisfied. Evgeny Tseregradzev, who won the second stage from Kawabata, got the title of a vice champion, and there were many people who were discontent with that. Well, first of all, Arkady himself and the entire country of Russia that supported him greatly. The last moments until the beginning of the qualifiers, there's one thing that I know, is that when we find ourselves on the height exceeding the height of the fence that is there for the sake of security and safety, just like it is in all the modern racing tracks, now we can see the official presentation of Arkady Puchinin, a driver from St. Petersburg. Due to our partner Autodrom, we can see how much such a car would cost. So as you can see, it is not such a big price, but the expenses begin later. How much would it cost to transform it into the potential weapon of victory? Arkady himself said that he hasn't yet grasped all the peculiarities of vice fab together with this car, even though Arkady himself also drives a BMW 46, but it is different. It has a different configuration and also a different engine. Even though it's 8, but it's a Bavarian and it has different properties. Again, as we can see from outside, so my own observation and the opinion of other athletes and judges, it looks really well. Arkady Puchinin starts his qualifiers, runs through 100 meters to the Furidashi zone, gets the first touch and go, does it very clear in the first clipping zone, makes a little... The tradition is too early with little corrections, but he reaches the second external clipping zone, but the third one is absolutely out, which is -7 points. I hope that the judges will not emulate this attempt. And then Arkady runs through the second clipping zone, and he doesn't make it to the last touch and go, even though from this angle I cannot really tell. But if we didn't see the mark completely, I guess that the rear wheels didn't find the way to the place where they were supposed to be. We will see it from the results that the judges will tell us. The first attempt from the two, as we have less than 32 pilots. At first there were 30, and then due to various reasons, 2 participants left this community of candidates. And unfortunately, due to some technical reasons, Nikita Shikov and Here, I think there was an official appeal from Alexei Golovnya that he has to leave the competition, but we will hope for some miracles, because miracles happens, and I hope that Lukoil Racing team will make a good finish of this season, which was not 100% debut for it, but in this combination it was really new. But I have had a conversation with Evgeny Malinovsky, the director of Lukoil Racing team, and he is very confident about the plans for the next season. There is no official confirmation from the sponsors about the budget, but we believe in the power of drift, and we believe in drift as a marketing tool. If you doubt about it, you can read the Forbes magazine, which published a very interesting article about it that may present it from a very unexpected angle from you, because it presents some details that even I didn't know about. We're waiting for the results. Arkady Puchinin is getting back to the starting zone. The pause is really intriguing. We're waiting for the next participant to do the run. Ivan Kurimbin is at the start. Yes, 15 for line, 16 for angle, and 25 for style. Not a very high result, but it's enough to do the risk and try the second stage, because if it's over 0, it's enough to fight for top 32. Another driver from St. Petersburg, Ivan Kurimbin. Now I should speak about the judges. Hisashi Kamimoto is for the line. The angle is set by Alexander Grimchuk, many-time champion of Ukraine in drift. And David Kalash is the GP master who is responsible for the style. He has 40 points to distribute, and his colleagues have 30 each. Ivan Kurimbin, he is master RX-7 with 2JZ engine out of the first touch and go. And now here goes this long arc and outside the clipping zone and missing the other one. Also some problems with the angle and the speed. He needs to accelerate and go faster and faster. I cannot tell anything about the fourth zone because I can only judge from the TV picture. What is with the last touch and go? It looks like he didn't make it there. I don't know what will be said about line, what Kamimoto-san will tell us to both us and Ivan Kurimbin, but it looks like it is not going to be very good. Boris Abramov is now in the starting zone. But before we see the run of Boris Abramov, let us see the replay of Ivan Kurimbin, how he was trying to get his Mazda where it was supposed to be. So there is nothing surprising that many drivers don't want to take a risk in their first attempt, especially seeing how low is the enter threshold of top 32. It just should be above 0, and if you get at least 1 point, then the job is done. And in the second attempt, you can take some risk. And I believe that many drivers will do this. But let me repeat it once again, that the main candidates for the champion's title will appear a little later. Boris Abramov and his BMW 46 by AGK from Latvia. And he himself is a very active participant of our championships, or cup, or whatever it was called. So only 5 for line, 17 for angle, 21 for style. Not that high is the score, but on the other hand, why would it be higher? Again, 43 score is at least 43 points more than 0, so I believe we can try to make more. Now, Boris Abramov is on the starting line. Number 79 is written on this BMW. Boris is the debutant of RDS Grand Prix, and in this case, the price of a car which you can take to make something similar can be only perceived ironically. He is aggressive. Look at him. The sequential box, some Sonos, LSX engine. That's a good for Hidashi. Can he keep this angle to the external clipping zone? No, it doesn't work. And doesn't work at all. But what is going to be later? Again, missing. And also missing the third clipping zone. So much smoke is getting out. There is absolutely no wind over Sochi Autodrom, and it takes a long time for the smoke to fade out. And all the drivers are ignoring the last touch and go. It's only 4 points, but for some people it can be quite a lot. But of course, if it's about hitting the wall, maybe it's really better not to take those 4 points, because I think no one's gonna really think about it seriously. But in the first group we have Masato Kawabata. For him also it was not that easy to get to use this 180S6 Nissan. It was made by Forward Auto. It was initially made for Gocha, and some people thought that Georgi Chivchan would ride it on the 5th stage, but after Riga's battles, he managed to repair his main car, and now he has a good backup option, which is now driven by Masato Kawabata. So let's see the replay of Boris Abramov. Let me remind you that there are 2 attempts for every participant. We are waiting for Dmitry Yermokhin, and then Kawabata will finish the first attempt of the first group of Stage 6 RDS Grand Prix 2019. Here we also shouldn't expect any high results. How low, how high would it be? We're still waiting for the results. It looks like it was all out, except for the nice and aggressive initiation. But if we know what line and angle are, in comparison to the last season, the judges now evaluate these parameters not only inside the clipping zones, but also outside the clipping zones. And as for the style, it is always the least clear term, because 40 point is divided into 2 parts. So first 20 is commitment, so everything that concerns the movement of the car, which is the tempo, the aggressiveness of the initiation, working the gas without any of those, fluctuations, should be very confident. So it is almost a synonym of aggression, but it's more about the aspiration to get the maximum from the car and from the driver himself. And the second half of the style criterion is fluidity. Boris Abramov got 52 points for his first attempt. Okay, so fluidity is everything is about the movement of the car around itself. So it's no correction, beautiful transitions. So this is more about precision and smoothness of move. Dmitry Yermokhin from Krasnaya Silvia S15. Now it has 600 HP under the bonnet. And let's see, we can also see the prices of Silvias. They're much more expensive than BMW 46. Of course, it is the price of the basic variants, not the specially prepared cars for the competition, because there is a lot that needs to be installed on such cars. Those interested in these things should be addressed to the website of Russian Drip Series. There you can see the technical regulation where we can get a lot of interesting information about the fuel system of the car, about the safety system, the safety measures that should be taken to keep the driver safe from burns, for instance. And now we can see Dmitry Yermokhin approaching the third clipping zone and getting into it finally, even though not completely. The last little part was touched by his rear wheels, and he is now returning back. The last touch and go, again, I didn't see, but it looked like he was in. Even though from this angle, the car always seems to be a little bit closer to the wall than it actually is. Now Masato Kawabata is preparing to start his second qualifiers. It's going to be even more difficult to see a yellow car against the yellow background. It's hard to make out the object and the background sometimes. So the first touch and go was touched by Dmitry Yermokhin. I think it won't yield any penalties from the judges, because normally it is enough to touch the touch and go zone. Often these zones are put on the evaluated areas just to bring the car into the necessary direction. Dmitry Yermokhin opens the door to ventilate the car because the asphalt's very dry and there's a lot of smoke. No precipitation occurred today. Yesterday, the first training session was reduced because the asphalt was quite wet. After the morning rain, it took a while for it to get dry because with the high speeds, the pilots need to be confident about the quality of the track. The record of tradition speed still belongs to Georgy Chevchan. He is the scorer of Yermokhin. 74 is now the highest result. But I think there is a participant of Forward Auto team who can move Yermokhin a little bit. 180 S6. RSR20 engine, which is a good configuration that is normally very well done by Ford Auto. So let's see, what does Masato Kawabata have to say? Oh wow, that is almost backward, of course, some correction. Almost the second transition and it's out. Well, not that out. He got a little bit the external clipping zone. Now he's running towards the third one. And he goes too far outside. He has gone through the fifth one, and the last touch and go is done, even though in the smoke it was hard to make out. That was spectacular, but I don't expect any high results. .720 horsepower in SR20 and over 700 newtons of the torque. This is a very good result. Now let's see the maximum values, because nothing has been updated this far. Now Kawabata was very close to the speed of Gocha, 160 something. But unfortunately, you could see that after this beautiful initiation that brought him almost to the backward, he could not make it to the first clipping zone. That is hard. Okay, so the first attempt is over. 18 for line, 24 for style, not a very good result. The first attempt of Masato Kawabata. So this is the time to take the risk. No zero results yet. So I think that the drivers can afford a little bit of risk. Well, top 32 will happen today at 4 p.m. And at 2 p.m. we make the opening ceremony. I will tell a little later how you can entertain yourself during the break. And he is crossing the third clipping zone, and unfortunately he almost stops, and I can predict a zero result. You don't even have to be an extrasensoric or something. 56 is still the best result for Arkady Puchinin. The audience gives him a round of applause. I'm really grateful for this applause to you. I have no exact information about the number of spectators. Hello, everyone! The weather is really nice here in the Olympic Park. I am now addressing everyone in the cold Moscow and St. Petersburg and other places from where such great drivers are coming, such as Ivan Kurenbin on his Mazda RX-7. It's a very powerful engine, 2JZ. This is a configuration that is always preferred by Ivan Kurenbin. A great work has been done on the car. Everything has been aligned, and Ivan said that at first it was not very easy for him because he was accustomed to driving a very lousy car. At least he made an attempt to do the right initiation, but unfortunately he couldn't make it to the first clipping zone, and he continued with the same strategy that he adopted last time. Only 111 kilometers per hour was the speed. It was not so impressive because Arkady Puchinin had more than 140. And still, it is still too far from the peak results. But I think that 160 kilometers per hour is maybe too much. And after that, after reaching such a speed, it is hard to speak about any correct run through all the evaluation zones. But the drivers love surprising us. Last year we had even higher speeds of the initiation. So let's see what will happen later in these qualifier runs. Of course, if the difference between the drivers is 20 kilometers per hour, you can imagine how hard it will be in the tandem runs and how hard it will be to chase the leader, especially if the leader can make it to the clipping zone and to the rest of the evaluation zone. It may be very tough for those who are quite slow at the run-in and the initiation. Okay, I gave you some wrong numbers. From the start line to fur-dash zone, there's 218 meters to the touch and go 1. And then there's over 100 meters where the drivers are absolutely free until it is time for them to get into the first clipping zone. And then if you look attentively, you can see how much this zone is filled with the black wheel marks. It means that the drivers have been looking for the best line, and it means that the spotters need to prepare the pilots for the tactic that they should adopt, not to fall out, not to crash into the leader, because sometimes the line can be very different. Someone prefers it to be straighter, someone prefers to get it a little deeper. So, of course, it depends on the configuration of the car, its peak capacity. And there may be some unpleasant surprises for the drivers if they happen to be unprepared. 44 score for the second round of Van Kurenbin. There has been a little improvement. If he had a better result for the style, as he did for the angle, it would have been better. Boris Abramov doing his second run. 52 points was his result of the first attempt. Let's see whether he can bring any improvement. Over 200 meters for the in-run, which is more than enough for this very powerful car. 850 horsepower. He touched the first clipping zone, maybe rushed too much to do the transition, and at least 3 wheels were outside the track. The cones got hit, and it is hard to say anything about the 4th clipping zone. I think they crossed the line. Very tough transition to zone 5. But at least his runs are always very spectacular. There is nothing to argue about. This car is quite heavy. Even though it's made of carbon Kevlar composite, if we believe the judge protocols, it must weigh over 1,400 kilograms, which is the upper limit of the weight of the car. Together with the driver, the weight should not exceed 1,500 kilograms to use the wheels of the maximum width. The technical controllers have an opportunity to check the weight of the car at any moment they find appropriate. Normally, the scales are right there on the return line. And this is where the judges may invite the driver, especially those whose weight is close to the minimum limit. So here it's very important to control the level of the operation liquids, because 1 kilogram of gasoline may annul absolutely all the results. For example, Charles N from IML Racing China has 1,330 kilograms, and 1,233 is the weight of the car of Damir Diatulin. Six line, only 9 for style. So now you can see that the style evaluation does not correlate to the level of applause from the spectator stand. There has been a lot of applause, but very low score for the style. So we are now moving further. Masato Kawabata. This is his second run. Let's see what Kawabata-san will make. Again, he almost gets into backward, does a little correction to reach the first a little earlier than he's supposed to. Goes very good through the 2. Pulls the handbrake and gets to the 3rd clipping zone better than anyone else. Gets into the 4th. What's going to be with the 5th? A very good transition right inside the zone. So what would Alexander Grinchuk say about this? He's responsible for the angle. The angle is supposed to be stable throughout the clipping zone, but the angle score will be very representative. Only 60 points was the result of Masato Kawabata in the previous run. So the second one, I imagine to be higher. But how much higher will it be? We will find out soon. And let me see the results of DEM's system. It looks like the speed. The speed is 141 kilometers per hour. It's all correct, but what's with the angle? As for the angle, it's 88 degrees that I can see. That was right after the Furidashi. Yesterday we have seen some more impressive runs, to be honest, but normally the backward initiation is not a good start because it may lead to an absolutely wrong line. Dmitry Yermokhin looks to refuse taking his second run. We're waiting for the results from the judges. I really hope that you are not bored to watch this motionless track under the rays of the autumn sun. 26 is for the line, 36 for the style. So these are the results. And this is, well, this look much better. 90 points make Kawabata the leader of the qualifiers. And as it was said in the geometry course, it's called Qual era demonstratum. And now Anatoly Sherbak opens the second group of participants. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it to the first clipping zone. What's going to happen to the second one? It's out again. I hope at least he doesn't get the zero result in his first run. But at the right moment, he pressed the right pedal and saved himself. Missed the fifth one, but straightened too early. I'm too much afraid that he may get 0 points for this. So let's wait for the results from the respected judges. Yes, it has been confirmed that Dmitry Yermokhin decided not to take his second run, but his score is 74, which makes him the way to top 32. Even at least 5 points would be enough, and he has 74. So it is quite good. But yes, unfortunately, Anatoly Sherbak gets a 0 for his first run. We're waiting for the second. And here comes Dedi Kaba, Sergei Kabargin, who had absolutely record initiations last year. Let's see. So yes, Kawabata has updated his own maximum for initiation. At the moment, the pilot Forward Auto is the leader of the qualifiers. Let's say flanker F on custom-built RDS engine. But unfortunately, he cannot make it to the full second clipping zone. He worked through the third one really perfectly. He touched the mark of the fifth clipping zone and finally made it to the wall. So he got into the last touch and go zone. So indeed, we will watch the replay. Yes, 600 HP RHS was in the protocol. If someone doesn't know, the car was customly built for the by the Special Engineering Bureau. There will be a lot to discuss during the break with Sergei Kabargin. We haven't seen each other for a long time. It's great to see him at the stage. Finally, Fetisov comes to the qualifiers. Despite his contact with the wall, Magomed Amarov is waiting for his run. We're waiting for the results. Line 20, 30 for the style, making 75 points, rank 2. Our main heroes haven't arrived yet to the starting zone due to the procedure, because now the drivers are distributed into the groups not according to their own wishes, but according to their rank in the tournament table. So the leaders of the team event will get to the 6th group if there is no 7th one. As soon as I get the information, I will tell you. Toyota Altezza with LSA engine, driven by Magomed Amarov. He is now at the starting line. Let's go. Not a very bad initiation, but missing the first touch and go. First external clipping zone, he goes diagonally, and the same happens to the third, and unfortunately, partially, the car gets outside the track. There is the white line with the cones that must not be crossed because it may yield a fine, a penalty. 5 score penalty for 1 and 20 for 3, and if it's 4 wheels, then it's 0. It's all about the line. .640 horsepower LSA engine is under the bonnet of this Toyota Altezza. I'm even afraid of the number of transformation this car has gone through during its life. Yeah, I guess there was only 1 wheel outside the track, not such a big penalty, especially considering that every external clipping zone costs 5 points, except for the third one, which is also the longest. It's 22 meters long. So this is almost like yin and yang that the pilots are drawing on the asphalt of Sochi Autodrom. There's an interesting tendency that we can see. I don't know how many runs have been done when the angle the angle score is higher than style score. With Alexander Grinchuk, we have had some conversation during the morning warm-up, and he said that generally there are not so many places where you can basically fail the angle, even though the control points are quite a lot. 5 external clipping zones and 2 touch-and-go zones. So partially, this combination mitigates the mistakes, but not such mistakes like Nikita Fetisov is now making. He fails any drift. He's the youngest participant of RDS Grand Prix from Krasnodar. Obviously, after the accident, after hitting the wall during the training, it was impossible to test the car to understand how controllable it is. This Silvia S15 with VR38, unfortunately, he gets 0 for the first run. But there is the second one, so let's wait. Here is the second attempt, which is now starting. Anatoly Sherbak is preparing to start. He's the candidate master of sport after 2 complete seasons in the Russian Rallycross Championship and the toughest class. It's a national. And after that, he decided that it was the time for him to try and participate in professional drift. And on this Silvia S13 with 2JZ engine of 620 HP, So this is not the case. When it can be really relevant, there has not been any changes yet. I think there has not been any. This is his second run. This is gonna be critical. If it's 0, Anatoly Sherbak will make it into top 32, and he is making it, even though the line is not perfect, but he touched the 2 clipping zones. He ignored the third one, transition. I cannot tell you anything about the fourth one. Again, the fifth one is more yes than no. And now he needs to make it to the finish, and it is happening, even though he's missing the last touch and go. So the score is not likely to be high. So it's not an easy task for the judges, because yes, they have, they can see everything, but there's so much smoke on the asphalt. It's very hard to find the right point to see. So the judges have to use their well-trained eyes, because they are trying to understand where their car is, if not directly, then at least indirectly. Here we have a new TV station for the RDS Grand Prix, which works continuously for Match TV channel, and there are 2 channels in this Match TV family. We'll show their reports on RDS Grand Prix on the national Match TV channel. There will be a 48-minute version, which is comparatively short. There will be a longer version for Match Country, which is 1.5 hour, an extended report. You can see it on Match Country channel at the end of the next week. Now let's see the score: 8:21.28 for Anatoly Sherbak. Let me remind you that the line is evaluated by Hisashi Kamimoto, the judge of Grand Prix. Alexander Grinchuk is responsible for the line and the style. 40 points for the style is distributed by David Kalash from Czech Republic, who continuously works at Drift Masters GP. So there's a sort of transcontinental panel of judges. Didi Kaba is now ready to do his second run. The first attempt was very good. He really does love this track, and it is mutual. Okay, so let's see. This is his second run. With some tiny correction, he misses the first and the second clipping zone and flies backward into the spin out to do this 270-degree loop and running into the next zone. And looks like he's not making it to the last touch and go. So probably we will not see any improvement. What does DEMS show us? I cannot see anything. I cannot see his statistic result. Anything about the initiation during this attempt. Unfortunately, there is nothing to say. But we may see the chart with maximum results for each driver. The fastest initiation of Sergei Kabargin was made during the first attempt, a little over 150 kilometers per hour, and that was the run that was quite highly evaluated by our panel of judges. We're waiting for the results for the second run of Sergei Kabargin or Didi Kaba. Okay, so we say hello to all the audience sitting now at the stands of Sochi Autodrom. So now we're going to see the score for the second run, 10, 18, 24. Unfortunately, he hasn't improved his achievement, but at least now he may prepare for the top 32. The car is intact, which is already good for such tough track. The track is surrounded by concrete walls, and the price of a mistake is extremely high. Magomed Amarov, we can hear his engine already. 52 points was his first run result. Now let's see what he has to show us in the second run. So it's a two-stage initiation, too much correction. Extremely far from the first clipping zone he is. The second and the third are also out. So now you can see the visibility. What can be said about the fifth clipping zone? That it was somewhere out there, just like The Truth in the famous TV series. Out there, but where exactly? Have the rear wheels of this Altezza been there? I cannot judge. So I'm going to rely upon the panel of judges because they have a very good angle right in front of the fifth clipping zone. And the human eye is able to adapt to the conditions much better than the camera. So I think the judges know it better than I do. In the first round, the line was 7 points only, so unfortunately, in the first groups, the line is often evaluated below 10. The maximum was 13. So please do not forget that the maximum result that can be achieved is 30, and 30 for angle, and 40 is maximum for the style. Altogether, it makes the theoretically achievable 100 points for the qualifiers, but this season we haven't seen it yet. But in this judging system, the mistakes are so well highlighted, then it is very, very unlikely that someone gets the maximum one. So the result is 53 for Magomed Amarov. So there is an improvement, but it's more cosmetic than conceptual. Ivan Nikulin is now at the starting line. 23 is his starting number from Barnaul, driving Silvia S15. He has 2JZ engine under the bonnet. Samsonas transmission box. Unfortunately, the titles were all because Ivan Nikulin appeared with two cars, so of course we will correct everything before the tandem runs. So you will see the correct data in the titles. Of course, it's not LT4, but it is all not that important. I've given you the correct data. Now we need to understand how Ivan Nikulin will do his first attempt and how it will be evaluated. He represents Fail Crew team. Silvia hasn't been painted in the right colors, which is one of the most beautiful ones, to my personal opinion. But when Nikulin is driving this absolutely white car, there's something nostalgic about it, because we can recall that this car used to be known as Bielka, which has the root belly or white. The replay has been broadcasted. Savar Mustakimov is waiting for his turn to show his skills and to get the points from the judges. And now we're waiting for the figures. Dear audience, those being now at the stand. So I've got some important information for you. First of all, we have a food court. So if you ever feel hungry, and I'm sure you will be, in between the qualifiers and top 32, it is by the service park. You can get there even if you have no access to the service park. 57 is the score of Ivan Nikulin for the first run. Okay, so besides the various catering facilities, there are the fan zones of our partners, Dark Side and Black Monster. And Black Monster has a campaign. They sell their wonderful energy drinks in the food courts. And besides the charge of energy, there is something more that you can get. I will tell you more after. Now, Ivar Mustakimov is doing his first run with his Lexus IS with 2JZ engine, but unfortunately he is out the third clipping zone. Here he's doing good. The line is nice. The fifth clipping zone was also good. As for the last touch and go, there is nothing I can say. Maybe we will see more in replay. This driver is from Kazan, and it is more than obvious from the sticker on his back window. Yesterday, Ivar was showing very good results on the wet asphalt. He's also good on the dry asphalt. If not for that third clipping zone, I guess the audience enjoyed his performance. We're waiting for the score. At Food Court, you can buy the Black Monster drink produced by our partner, as you know. So if you buy this drink, you may win some really cool prizes, a bandana, a keychain, a tattoo. I don't know what it actually means. And the main prize is the ticket to the RDS Grand Prix. And starting from September, Black Monster Company has started the hunting season for Chevrolet Camaro 2019. To win this car, here's, by the way, the score of Ivar Mustakimov. I will tell you about the campaigns later. Okay, so there are special promotion cans, Black Monster Original with the that famous muscle car picture. Register the codes that you find, and maybe this Camaro will be yours. Oof, okay, I made it. So now let's continue. Denis Migal, the first run of this driver, driving BMW M3E46. The angle is small, but he made it into the first clipping zone, also to the second. The third, unfortunately, was almost failed. Let's see what happens to the fourth one. It looks like one wheel was in. And the transition is finished in the fifth clipping zone. It's already a good tradition. And as we have already seen, it doesn't really yield any serious penalties. The configuration is pretty hard. Even visually, it's hard to find the way for the drivers. Many of them confessed that from outside, it seems like the space is really big. And this is what makes it so difficult, because when you're looking at everything from the height of the asphalt and from the first clipping zone to the second, it goes really downhill, making it very hard to find the way, especially on the way from the first clipping zone to the second, and also in many other situations. The score of Denis Migal are not that bad, especially against the total background. It's 69, and so it's only the first run, and there will be the second one where he can improve the results. And when we are looking at everything with our own eyes, it may seem that it's so easy. You know, there is nothing to do. Like, you can just walk along this asphalt to see how difficult it actually is for the drivers, because they do not see the asphalt, they do not see the marks. They can only find their way on the banners and the cones that just are integrated into this track. Ekaterina Boychenko from IMOL Racing Russia team is doing her first run. Out from the first clipping zone, it's hard for Ekaterina to do this track. She has confessed that she is a little afraid to drive here after the last year's accident. And even this morning during the training, it was evident that she hasn't overcome this fear that keeps her away. Because we know that Katya can do this. But Alteza number 44 drives out into the return zone. We're watching the replay, and I think that it is only Vladimir Chivchan who hasn't done his second run from the third qualification group. She just touched the touch-and-go zone. We remember everything about the third one. Probably she won't make too much speed. Yeah, here she's also out. I wonder, if you fail all the zones, would it be 0 points or not? Now let's see what Hisashi Kamimoto says. Maybe you cannot see it very well, but this composition of 3 barrels and 1 cone. The clipping zone is kind of embracing it. So it makes a circle. It's a part of a loop. This structure in the middle is a good point of reference for the drivers. So if you keep and you're equally far from it, it is a good sign. So here is the structure once again. So it's time for us to congratulate Ekaterina Boychenko. She makes her way into top 32, 2 for a line. So Kamimoto found a little bit of mercy in his heart. Kamimoto-san, thank you. 22 is for the angle and 18 for the style from David Kalash. And now this beautiful caramel Silvia S14, driven by Vladimir Chivchan. Forward Auto driver is at the start of his first qualification run. So initiation, not bad. And yes, he makes it into the first clipping zone, but not completely. Vladimir Chivchan uses the e-brake too much. Too much effort wasted, and he doesn't make it to the third clipping zone and also to the fourth. There's too much work for Hisashi Kamimoto to do, too many deductions for him to make. But, well, again, we remember the golden rule of the first run. It should be more than 0. As for the rest, you can figure it out in the process. We're watching the replay. We are filling in the pause while waiting for the results from the judges. Let's give them some time to fill in their protocols. Here is the score. Only 9 for the line, 23 for the angle, 25 for the style. At this moment, I feel sad that Kamimoto-san is Japanese. Because especially, well, for these experienced judges, I understand that they don't feel any emotions. But if there was Alexander Grichuk in the place of Mr. Kamimoto, I would like to see his face at this moment because, well, everything is out. Ivan Nikulin is doing his second run. Pilot from Barna also. Will he improve his result? This is the main question. He fails the first touch and go. Good angle, but too far from the first clipping zone. The very corner of the second one is touched by Ivan Nikulin just to get one wheel into the third clipping zone, and he continues drawing these lines of smoke in the sky above the Olympic Park, above the Sochi Autodrom. That was spectacular, and it is proven by the applause from the audience. And now we're waiting for the results from the judges. I'm afraid it's going to be like a cold shower, especially for the line points. So the main speed recordsmen haven't appeared. Kawabata is just getting admitted to this community. And the speed of Ivan Nikulin was also not bad. And as for the angle, 35 is the angle of touch and go, and then it was bigger. 35 degrees is not that much, but at least in this little angle, if you get into the clipping zone, it will be a great delight for the judges, much more than these corrections attempt to give a better angle. So 14 is the point for the line and 27 for the angle, and the total is 71. Is the total. Did anyone get better results for the angle? 27 was Kawabata's. And he has the maximum for the line, 26, and also for the style. He is the lead now with 90 points. Denis Migal, quite a good first attempt. But I'm sure that he can make better, right, Denis? I'm sure he can do it better. Now let's see how much better it will be. Two corrections on the way to the first clipping zone. At least one wheel was into the clipping zone, unfortunately missing the third one. Only the corner was touched. And the fourth clipping zone, at least one wheel was in, and the fifth one is very deep. Even the banners made a wave. Saying of the BMW number 33. You can exercise in judging, especially in judging the line. It is, well, very much obvious. The first touch and go was done, and then calculate. Just count. This is maybe not 5 points, but 4. Here, if it's not -5, it's also quite big. Here it's -7, and on the way back, it is also not the maximum of the 5 points that you can get for the line. Here, it may be the maximum, and then the last touch and go is more yes than no. So if you calculate it by yourself several times, you won't be surprised with the low results anymore. You won't say that there's just some vicious, evil Japanese that comes from the Japan, from the automatic judgment system country to judge us. No, that is all very objective. No one told us that the configuration was easy. Even Georgi Chevchan, despite all his experience and skill, confessed that he did not like it. 17 for the line is quite a good result, in fact. 21 and 29 for the angle and style, respectively. But no improvement, only 67 points for the second run. Yekaterina Naboychenko is coming from IMOL Racing Team Russia. Here is Katya. Look at her. Starts as Dmitry Dobrovolsky, who combines his duties of the director and the head of the race this season. Unfortunately, fails the touch and go. Here it's also too far. And here it's 0. At least she tried to make a fast initiation. 142.5 kilometers per hour was the speed. But, well, she has just broken her own personal record. 142.56 was the speed, but the score for the second run is 0. She took the risk, but it didn't work out. But the first run was enough to make her the way to top 32. Any non-zero result would be enough. And as for the third group, everyone is already safe. Vladimir Chevchan is doing his second run. He is now at the starting line. Green lights. Whoa. So what comes next? And then he makes straight. I think no one can make it in a different way. But he's continuing moving along the track. I wonder what the Grinchuk says about the angles. We will see it soon with our own eyes. We watch the replay. The judges have some time to think it over. So who else do we have in the second group? Ivan Mustakimov, for sure. And, well, this is it. No one else. .57 was the score for Vladimir's first run. We're waiting for the score for the second one, and we're about to welcome the fourth group of participants. There have been some losses. Yes, Nikita Shikov, his engine failed him yesterday, and he failed it so much that we had to pick up the parts of the engine from all over the track. And now the main heroes of Sochi Autodrom are coming, little by little. For very clear reasons, there is no improvement, but the attempt was very good. Almost 250 kilometers per hour. 150 kilometers per hour. So let's see what is going on in the starting zone. And really love seeing the audience. Hello, everyone. Everyone looks happy, nice, smiling. What can be better than that? It's very empty in the starting zone, as we can see. So this is the qualifying results for now. 89 points for Masada Kavabata, Didikaba, and Envir Mustakimov occupy the 2 second lines. Dmitry Ermokhin and Ivan Nikulin, Denis Mikhail, Vladimir Chevchan, Anatoly Sherbak. The top 8 positions. The density is not very big, but it is very understandable because later it will be more fun from the point of view of the driver's skills. I think from Group 4 it will all begin. For a reason, Ivan Mustakimov decided not to take his second run, even though he had a right. Fyodor Vorobyov is arriving to the starting line. So we are ready to start right away. Let me remind you that Fyodor Vorobyov is one of the drivers, one of the 3 drivers who have twice been in top 4 in Sochi Autodrom. They're on the 3 official stages that we had here. So if you calculate the percentage, it will be a very impressive result. The starting price for VAS 2105 looks funny from Autodrom, but of course we understand that this is about the basic VAS, not this monstrous vehicle Fyodor Vorobyov is driving. The suspension, the engine is worth much more. Fyodor Vorobyov from Fresh Auto team is about to do his first run, and we're now waiting for the results from at least 80 points. This is not, I hope this is not shift expectations, but the trainings were very impressive. Let's see what happens when it's time for him to do the evaluated run. Many drivers try to keep their aggression under control. He doesn't make it to the first touch and go. Diagonally crosses the first external clipping zone, does the same in the second one. E-brake, and from the middle, he makes to the third. He's spinning out and touches the 4th zone. And the 5th one is now flooded in smoke of the rear wheels. VAS 2105, number 5. Someone may say that the headlights look more like those of 2107, but, well, it doesn't really matter. I think there's nothing left from actual original VAS 2105. For a long time, he was keeping the e-brakes on. He couldn't get into the 3rd clipping zone from the right angle, but the potential, I guess, is very clear. We just need to wait until he makes it come true. I cannot find any data about this run this far. Maybe now my screen will update. I'm looking at DEM's system screen. I hope to see something impressive there. This is a rare situation when David Kalash puts more than 30 score for style, making in total 73 points for the first run, but okay, let's wait. There is still some reserve. Has anyone got 30 for style? Kabargin had 30, Ivan Nikulin in his second run had 30, and of course Kavabata. He had over 30. Now Andrei Astapov driving his Lada Vesta. Of course, a lot of work has been done on this car to bring it to the right condition. Under the bonnet, there's over 500 horsepower. It's 2 JZ, 2 Ladas in a row. And the first clipping zone is left far behind. If this is a safe run, then it's too safe, I'm afraid, because the trainings made a better impression on me. We just need to watch the replay and wait for the results, because there is nothing else that I can offer. If you remember how Lada Vesta looked, I mean, not the appearance, but its behavior, when it suddenly debuted with Daigasida, when it was absolutely not adjusted, and that concerned all its elements, including the engine. They were trying to make it work right in the process, and Denis Ponomarov was of great help. He actually works for Forward Auto. He is a very good specialist for JZ. So everyone ran to help in the suspension and everything. So it was hard for Daigo, but he was trying to struggle. He struggled hard, but it was not efficient. But since that time, a lot has been done with the car, and during the trainings, we saw Vesta performing quite lean. And I'm speaking about this mutual understanding between the driver and the car when you watch it from outside. It doesn't always mean that the pilot is 100% satisfied. It's top 32 result, 62 points. And here comes Evgeny Ruzhenikov. Driving CVS 15 LSA engine, 700 horsepower. The car that always brings surprises to Evgeny, but let's see how their relationships will work out now. The name of the car is Donna. So here's the initiation, a little bit of correction. But I could get it on from the front wheels, and he kissed the wall. Thank you, Evgeny. Unfortunately, the line wasn't perfect, but at least someone made it to the concrete wall in the very first run. So there is something to be afraid of. The fifth clipping zone, and finally the touch and go. And Evgeny Ruzhenikov finishes his first run, and we are waiting for the results. I wish there was a special courage category, but maybe David Kalash gets some additional commitment points for this. There has been little correction. You could even say it from the visual criteria. He crosses the second clipping zone diagonally, kisses the wall, then maintains the reflection angle equal to the incidence angle, and misses the third clipping zone. The first run, let me remind you, so what's going to happen during the next one? Someone must brake, I think. I hope the suspension is okay. Let's watch this moment once again. The collision of the car with its own shade. Yeah, there has been a shake. Yesterday when Arkady Puchinin also touched the wall with the rear part of the car that wasn't even his, he said he didn't feel anything. He just touched it and he continued going. Of course, the noise and the vibration is so intense that you can really miss it. 21, 24, 26, the score is quite good for the first run, I remind you. 71 is the score, rank 7, and there is a potential to make it better in the second run. Kristaps Bruce from Lukoil Racing HGK Drift. Eurofighter E92 ultra high-tech car. The e-brake control hasn't been shown to us. His moves are usually very emphasized, nice to watch. The engine is Mass Motorsports, a huge 8-cylinder engine. He just tears Sochi Autodrom into pieces, but hesitated before the clipping zone. No, that was a bad mistake for such a pilot, but generally the performance was breathtaking. 900 horsepower, can you even imagine it? How much effort you need to get out of the atmospheric engine with a working volume of 7 liters to get 900 horsepower. Over 170 is something like engineering miracle for the atmospheric engines. But here the result is so impressive. There is a lot that can be said about it. This is what explains some of the problems Kristaps has been facing throughout the season, and it's all about the engine for him. And well, let me remind you once again what I heard from Evgeny Malinovsky, that he was very confident about the next season. So let's wait And by the way, there may be not two cars wearing these colors, but some more. I will give you details later. Stay tuned. Let's wait for the results of Kristaps. 22, 28, and 35 for style. 85 is the total score for the second run, and we can see how he can improve his results and to move someone from the first line. He has all the potential to do this, and now we're watching the second attempt of the fourth group of Stage 6 RDS Grand Prix. It is beginning right now. Fyodor Vorobyov, the driver from Fresh Auto team, is about to do his second attempt. 73 points was the first run score. The purposes are clear. It's just the practice that we need to see. Okay, damp system is now working precisely. 148 kilometers per hour is the initiation speed. So close to the concrete wall. The rear axis slides. He's out of the third clipping zone. Oh, wow. That is like fireworks. It sounds like fireworks. The car was about to continue the drift. Fyodor welcomed the audience. Well, that was really great from the point of view of commitment. That is evaluated not by the judges, but just by people watching it. We can see that Fyodor Vorobyov was really doing his best to show the maximum, and his maximum standard is really very hard. It's very high. He was in top 4 twice, and he was one step away from the victory. He worked with Oda Suinaga, and, well, he lost to the living legend of the drift. Lost in the finals, which is very sad, but, well, we can speak about for a long time, because getting into the finals of any stage of RDS Grand Prix is a very serious achievement anyway. Now let's see the score. We're about to see it right now. Right now. Here they are, 24, 25, 30. 34 style, and one step away from 80 is the result of Fyodor Vorobyov. But there are two more drivers in this group, the Mirdiaturin, Datsui Hibito. Andrei Astapov is now doing his second run on the Lada Vesta. 62 points was his result of the first run. So here the graphics was not properly corrected because it was Lexus initially, and we can see the value of Lexus IS from Auto.ru, our partner. Unfortunately, the first clipping zone was filled. A very extensive transition. Okay, so this is unfortunately a 0 attempt. 62 points remains his best result. We're waiting for him in top 32. Let me give you some more information for everyone who is now at the stand. At 2:00 p.m. we will do the opening ceremony of RDS Grand Prix. We're waiting for everyone. On Saturdays we normally have an autograph session, and after the national anthem of the Russian Federation we will have the autograph session, and at 4:00 p.m. we will start the top 32, and I hope we can make it before darkness, because as it normally happens in southern regions, the darkness is really fast, just like Furikayoshi in drifting. Here, unfortunately, he failed to get into the third clipping zone, but there is no tragedy about it, because the first one was very productive. Two cars with really evil American motors are waiting for their turn, and here is the pilot of the first one, Sylvia S15, number 55, Ruzheynikov Yevgeny, is now about to do his second qualification run. And the first, his result was 71 points. That is a very aggressive start from Andrei Ruzheynikov. He is two-time. Very good initiation, a good large angle. Can he keep it to the clipping zone? Yes. Very precise first clip. In the second, he is very close to perfection. Very serious loss of speed. Only one corner of the clipping zone is touched. That is set -7 for line. Definitely the fifth clipping zone is almost perfect. But we have seen some deeper runs as well. And now finally he is in the finishing zone. We see the telemetrics. Actually, it seemed much faster than he actually was. The initiation was good. The maximum angle is 63 degrees. This is what I see from the system. I'm trying to see what was there in the maximum results. 151 kilometers per hour was the initiation speed. We're waiting the replay, and we're waiting for the score for the second round of Andrei Ruzheynikov. Yevgeny Ruzheynikov, sorry. In this fourth group, we have only one participant to watch, that is Kristaps Blush, who is about to do his second run. And then there will be Group 5, Ilya Fyodorov and his friends. So let's see the score of Evgeny Ruzheynikov. Okay, here it is, 19, 26, and 30. The result has been improved, but not that much for Evgeny Ruzheynikov, but he is ranked 4, at least this far. Who is next in the group? Daigo Saito, Arkady Tserigradzev, and others are in the won but lost group of the qualifiers. Kristaps Blush is looking at us through the helmet, so we cannot say whether he is looking sad or happy from the window of his BMW. So here's the initiation. Push the gas, and it's out from the first clipping zone. Oh wow, and the second one is also failed. He just touched it a little bit, but the third one he has worked through completely. What's going to happen with the fifth? It's not clear. In my screen, I could just see white smoke and nothing else. But from the score, we will see how precise it was for the line. What Kristaps really has is that all of his runs are very spectacular. We're waiting for the results. There's nothing else that we can do. Kristaps Blush, Lukoil Racing, AGK Drift. $20 for line, 27 for angle, and 37 for style. That is the highest results in these qualifiers. And for this most expensive criterion by David Kalash, 37 hasn't been given to anyone from this judge. Unfortunately, the line was not as good as in the previous one, and Evgeny Grinchuk found one more deduction of 1 point for angle, and as a result, it's only 84 in the second run, no improvement. But there is Arkady Tsarigradzev at the starting line. He's about to open the performance of the 5th qualification group of the 6th stage of RDS Grand Prix 2019. That was a very good attempt in his training session. He didn't make it to the first clipping zone. Here he got into the second one, the third. Oh, that is unfortunately a 0. But we have seen such situations during the trainings. What's wrong with the engine? It brings some anxious memories because he used to have some engine problems, but it was last year when the engine decided that he didn't want to continue. It was not exactly here, but it's not something that matters. Yes, so the 5th stage was absolutely missed by Arkady last year because of the engine problems that were followed by the transmission problems. So he decided to stay on the safe side and skip stage 5. Arkady Tsarigradzev failed crew 0 for the first run, unfortunately, but this is the situation when the gap between the potential opportunities and the real score is maximum. Here's Alexei Golovnya, whose engine on his car failed him, but as it happened before the official runs, he had the time to replace the car, so now he is driving this Silvia of Alexei Kosharny, which worked as a drift taxi as well. Alexei Golovnya from Lukoil Racing HGK Drift is about to start his battle in the qualifiers of stage 6. So if in your individual event the situation is intense, in the team event it will be even more, because even for Lukoil Racing HK Drift, and I say even because this team is not the highest ranked one, it's now ranked 4 after the 5 stages, and it has some chances to struggle at least for a place in top 3. I remind you that there is double scoring in comparison to the ordinary stages. So we see the replay of this run. It was not very successful because he had no chance to train on this car. So for Alexei Golovnya, everything feels very new at the moment. Almost no angle here, no angle here, even though he was trying to block it. Maybe a couple of meters he rode on straight wheels. This is the champion level. Driving an unknown car, strange car, and drive through the entire track is really awesome, especially if we consider that those who tried driving Alexei's cars have always said that it was adjusted in a very specific, a peculiar way, which means that the driver must be accustomed to these adjustments. And since the regulation of Russian Drift Series is pretty frivolous, especially in the drifting events, the cars can be very different from each other, even if such protocol data may coincide. Even if the engines are absolutely the same to JZs. Well, yeah, hello everyone. So the qualifier round is about to finish. Let me remind you, dear audience, that the food court is by the service park. Even if you have tickets without the access to that service park, you can still access the food court and visit the fan zones of our partners. Let me remind you that if you buy a Black Monster drink, you can win some cool prizes. There are some original Black Monster cans with the picture of one famous American muscle car. So this is your key to winning that muscle car. You can participate in the promotion campaign and win the car. And IMOL Company, our general partner, besides its traditional competition for VAS 2104 tuned for winter drift, And tomorrow we'll hear the name of the lucky one who will go to Japan with the Russian delegation for the Intercontinental Drifting Cup. Oh wow, I envy this person so much already in advance. And now at the final stage, IMOL presents a unique product which is second to none in Russian market. It's a racing live oil with a viscosity of 20 V50. And these cans, besides containing the really unique product, which is developed with polyalphyline. I would need to practice this word before I continue it. It's a very complicated substance. It is a special oil that provides high temperature viscosity that doesn't change with time, which is a very important parameter for the engines that need to tolerate high loads, especially in drift. This series is limited, so you can buy this oil with a picture of Daigo Saito, by the way, and also get an autograph of Daigo Saito during the autograph session that we will enjoy after the opening ceremony. The judges are greeting you, dear friends, and also in the IMOL fan zone, you can buy an exclusive postcard set and send any of them to any place in the world. You should take this chance. If you have friends in New Zealand, for instance, you can bring this, you can make IMOL company pay for the expenses of delivering the postcard, but I think the company wouldn't mind. They'd have no financial problems. And let me remind you once again about Forbes magazine, which was dedicated to Russian Drift Series. It contains a lot of interesting information, including the business aspects of the event due to the general topic of this magazine. 10, 16, 14, the score of Alexei Golovnya. He is already Blue Coil Racing and Car Drift will be definitely in top 32 completely. And now Charles N from Hong Kong. The only driver representing IMOL Racing China, number 84, finally driving his own car, Nissan 180 SX equipped with LS6 engine. Charles is 180 SX Nissan. But what is happening on the track is much more important. The first clipping zone is done. Even deeper he is than it was expected around the third clipping zone. Here's the fifth clipping zone left behind and finish. That was a good performance, at least for the line. And now I'm interested in the results more than ever. At the moment, we are watching the replay. Ilya Fedorov will be the next one. Let's see whether there will be the seventh qualification group or not. Nikita Fetisov will be the only one there. His first run was not successful. Something should be done about the car. And now, with this right that the drivers have, Nikita Fetisov decided to take the chance. He shifted his second run, that will be his only one, to this last seventh group. The first run, even if it had been not zero, would have been annulled if he had used this provision of the rules. But if there are less than 32 participants, it makes no sense to take the risk, because there is a great number of reasons that may also annul the second run. But if there is nothing to lose, well, you can and you should take the risk and do it. So here's the results of Charles, 21, 28, and 29, which makes the total of 78, rank 4. It's not 90 plus. We have some problems with even with 80 plus results. Maybe this guy will correct the statistics. From IMOL Racing Russia, Ilya Fedorov and his Silvia S13 with the VQ30 3-liter engine. Oh wow, that was initiation. From this angle it seemed even faster than he did during the training sessions. Well, that looked good. The second clipping zone is nice. What's going to be with the third one? But unfortunately he doesn't make it to the third. But the fourth one was very confident. The fifth one was on the edge. It was hard to make out. Let's see the replay. Daigo Saito is waiting for his turn. He is the new face of new IMOL motor oil. And let me remind you once again that besides the postcards, IMOL tent that stands right near the food court. You can get a postcard and send it to any point of the globe. At the same place you can buy the motor oil of this amazing brand, which is not only your pass into the world of candidates for our prizes, including VAS 2104 for winter draft that we're gonna give to one of the participants tomorrow in the global imolization campaign, and the main prize of the entire campaign for all those who throughout the season participated in the competition, registering the codes. Everyone is a candidate for the trip to Japan with the Russian delegation to the Intercontinental Drift Cup. (2024-29) are the results of Ilya Fedorov for the first run. At least the line looks better now. The closer we are to the individual events leaders. And here's Daigo Saito, number 87, Altezza, and the engine is NASCAR. The horsepower is 650, which is pretty humble. But if we could select a winner from the sound, and if we could identify the capacity of the engine from the sound, I think it would sound for at least 900. There was an experience that I will tell you about later. It was about the sound of the engines. Saito is now reaching the third clipping zone from the middle. He takes the fourth one and I guess the fifth one too, because the marks have been erased, so it's getting more and more difficult to evaluate, especially if everything is covered in smoke. Just like in Formula One, as everyone is conceals the capacity of the engines, sometimes the colleagues, my colleagues, journalists, try to identify and measure the capacity of the engine from the sound. But of course, from the sound, you can only evaluate the revolutions and also the exhaust system, and only in some classes like Formula One. But at least something can be understood. But as for the drift, here the restrictions are minimal, and they are basically related to the safety of the drivers and the audience. And as for the engines and transmission, it just should be an ordinary engine with the street legal tires, properly marked. The cars can be creatively modified, so you can do whatever you want to conform with the safety requirements. And there are some parts of the car body that you should not violate. Okay, so 90 plus club remains empty, but 80 Plus Club finds a new member. That is Daigo Saida from Imol Racing Russia, ranked 3 with 84 points for his first attempt. Now Arkady Tserigratsev. Would it be a safe run by Arkady? This is what the humanity is now very anxious about. So he needs to be safe because, of course, reducing the failed team composition would not be nice. Arkady Tserigratsev and his evil Sky, equipped with VR38, the peak capacity of 1,200 horsepower. Normally he uses more conservative adjustments to save the resource, and you don't need that much on the majority of the tracks. The third clipping zone is left behind. But here I wish he could do the same as he did in practice. It amazed everyone. Thank you for supporting our pilots, dear audience. Of course, it's not zero, so we can breathe out. All the fans of Arkady are now relaxed. So the situation is very interesting from the championship point of view. Of course, there's a great number of very strong drivers who, for different reasons, do not have any chance for winning. But nevertheless, as there is nowhere for the ambitions to disappear, there will be a lot of double scores that they can take away from their opponents, from their colleagues, who are really struggling hard for the victory in the individual event. In my Instagram, I did a little survey. The majority of the audience supports Gocha. Well, who could imagine that? The second one is Losif, the third one is Idiatulin, and less supported is Datsuya Hibino. As a result, safe run, maybe not a safe run. The result is pretty good for the second run of Arkady Tserigratsev. Only 19 for line, and here he could have improved his result much more. At the moment, he's ranked 5 with 79 points. We congratulate Arkady on that. And we will see in top 32, and that is beautiful. And here comes Alexei Golovnya, not driving his own car, because in the last meters of the trainings, his engine failed and he had to change the car. Change for this car that was lent to him by Alexei Kasharny. This is the so-called Silvia S14.5. When the face expression is from 15 and all the rest is from 14. 2JZ, if I remember it right, under the bonnet. I will tell you more details later. I will ask Timofey on my own what is there and how many horsepowers may Alexei Golovnya account for. He is two-time champion of Ukraine and the Russian Drift Series champion who represents Lukoil Racing HGK Drift team today. That is a very cautious initiation. He misses the first clipping zone. I hope he makes it into top 16. But it would not be easy because tomorrow the training practice, he will have some chance to train with the car. But these two runs are actually the practice that Alexei has according to the regulations. There is no surprise that he went for the second attempt. 40 score for the first run is not too much, but at least it's not zero. Then we will see more because the opponents may make problems or have technical failures, because this is what makes technical sports so technical. This fight looks more of a struggle with the car than a struggle for some qualification score. Yes, it's zero indeed. I wouldn't expect anything more than that. Charles N. 78 points was the score. Let's see whether he can improve the result. ...142 kilometers per hour at the initiation. That is an average value. The attempt to make it to the third clipping zone was only half successful. Just like with the fifth one, by the way. So I suspect that he does not improve the result this time, even though 78 points against the general big ground is quite good as well. That was a very long way to this point where Charles N finally joined his car again. You remember that he had to drive a replacement car for several times. But this 180 SX brought him to the winner's podium in Ryazan. And this was a long-awaited moment. He was choosing the right rebuild strategy of this RX under the bonnet of Nissan. And the specialists of Gosh Turbo Tech were working on making their miracles, trying to find the right solution. And finally, they had to go for a more conservative strategy. Finally, after every run, Charles had to adjust the valves. That is quite a labor-intensive process. But this is the only way to extend the life of the engine. So the total score of Charles is 75. Okay, so no improvement for Ilya Fedorov either. Ilya Fedorov is doing his second run. The first run was 73. Now let's see what this many-time winner of RDS East can do. Together with this Silvia S13 and VQ30 540 horsepower engine and a very aggressive angle. And same angle he could extend to the first clipping zone. But what is going on now? It seems like the speed would be enough. It would be enough to take the third clipping zone, but no. So now we'll just have to wait for what the judges say about this. I hope we don't have any accidents like this. Okay, the in-run, the initiation. From this angle, it seems like the angle was just enormous, but the system shows that at the speed of almost 153 kilometers per hour, the angle just exceeded 50 a little bit, because for Charles, the system showed 40-something less. For Alexei Golovnya, for some clear reasons, it was only 27 degrees, under 30. Ilya Fedorov is ranked 9 in the individual event at the moment. Here, some serious changes after the qualifiers are possible. $26 for line and for the angle, 36 for style, making 88 in total. Wow! It brings Ilya Fedorov to the second line of the rating, only 1 point behind Masada Kawabata. What would the next driver of IML Racing, Daigo Saito, say to this? He had 87 for the first run. He is now ranked 4, but he has one more attempt. And Georgi Chivchan is waiting for his turn. We are waiting for the performance of the 6th, but last, if we count Nikita Petisa for the 7th group. Altezza is doing the initiation. Oh, not bad. And very close to the wall. Here it's also good. Kiss the wall. Yeah, the third clipping zone is done. And what a good, nice speed, 152 kilometers per hour at the point of initiation. It looks like now the speed is almost the same after he had to reduce the speed at the spin out. Will it be 90 plus or not? Daigo Saito, driver of IML Racing Russia team, the author of a unique achievement in the drifting world, winner of D1 American Series. Of course, he came to Russia for the complete season 2019 for his third jewel in his crown. In third gem in his crown, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him this time. There have been too many technical problems. The car was specially customized for Russia. The NASCAR engine was purchased especially for this purpose. It's a very evil soundtrack. And the bumper just touched the wall so nicely and lightly. It was beautiful. This is something that you can watch endlessly, but I would like to see the results and to pronounce those results: 27, 29, 38. Yes, we've got it, 90 plus, 94 points. And rank 1 for Daigo Saito. It's an important step to his second victory in qualifiers. Last year, the Cup for qualifiers was won by Daigo Saito. He was here in top 4 twice, and he performed only twice. So his result is 100%, and we're now waiting for the results of today's and tomorrow's tandem runs. And this is the individual event leader, the current champion of RDS Grand Prix, Georgi Chivchan from Forward Auto, Krasnoyarsk. By getting into top 32, Gocha will make an important step to his leadership, because let me remind you that here you get double points. This is the first attempt, and the minimized risk, the third clipping zone, is taken without any problem. So if you have any questions, they are just tiny and small. And he is approaching the next touch and go that Gocha decided to sacrifice and not to touch the wall here. After all, 4 points is not such a big penalty to damage the car in the very first run. So this is Group 6, the individual events. Datsu Hibino, Dmitry Diatulin, Evgeny Losev, Georgi Chivchan. In top 4, there are 2 fresh auto pilots. So there is no coincidence that they lead in this category one step away from the finals. But Kawabata was admitted to Forward Auto not randomly. There was a very clear reason. Georgi Chivchan appreciates the success of his team even more than his personal achievements. Yeah, hello. 25 for line, 28 for angle, 35 for style from David Kalash, 88. is the run 1 result that is very close to the border of 90, but now we have one result of 90 plus by Daigo side. And now here's the Russian side, though, Yevgeny Losев from Fail Crew team. One of the chasers of Gocha in the individual event. 81 is his starting number, 81 Mark II to JZ. 850 horsepower, 930 Newton meters is the torque. Not such a heavy car as it may seem when you look at it from outside. 1,360 kilograms together with the pilot. But he doesn't reach the third clipping zone, so we cannot speak about the leadership in qualifiers for Evgeny Losев. 150 kilometers per hour was the initiating speed, and Gocha almost reached his own record, which was 162 kilometers per hour. Yevgeny Losев is always greeted with great enthusiasm. Yevgeny Losев from Irkutsk. Okay, so we're moving forward. Datsuya Hibino, a driver from Fresh Auto team. And his Toyota Supra, number 18. Yesterday, Hibino was the first one to do the judge's task without any problems, but after that his opponents came closer and repeated his success. But something happened to Hibino during this first attempt. You could say that there will be no high results for the line. Okay, so now we're waiting for the results for the first run. Tetsuya Hibino. But even though the run was not perfect, 82 is the score. This is rank 6. So we can say that if all these mistakes are removed, we can actually speak about some leadership. But from Hibino-san, we didn't expect anything more. And now we welcome the next participant, Damir Diatulin, and driving his Toyota Altezza wearing Fresh Auto colors is on the way to the first external clipping zone and misses it. But it seemed so possible. He gets the third one but loses the speed. Now he doesn't reach the fourth one. And from the fifth, the fifth is also not clear. Damir Idiatulin is a driver from Fresh Auto team. You can see him in your screens now. At the present moment, Damir has 671 points after the 5 stages. He's 38 points behind Evgeny Losev, who is ranked 3rd, who is in his turn 14 scores behind Tatsuya Hibino, and Hibino loses 207 points to Georgy Chivchan. But all the 4 drivers have the chance for the final victory due to the double points rule. Of course, the chances are different, and the total result of Damir is 61. Okay, so here comes the second run of Georgy Chivchan. This is a beautiful digital panel matching the entire appearance of the car. Georgy Chivchan, his second run. There is touch and go, and then he adds more speed. Let's compare my observations to the data of the system. He is very close to the wall in the second clipping zone. Little too late, he enters the third one. A little over 160 kilometers per hour. That's his style of Georgy Chivchan. Speaking about the speed, and now the second run is about to finish together with the entire qualifiers for Gocha. He stabilized his car in just an instant. .88 points is the score of Georgy Chivchan in the first run. But I suspect that he is now really close. But how much and in what direction? Since we have 27 drivers, if it is of qualified, the last participant of the last 7th group, then it means that there will be 5 leaders from by run, which is very important right now. Now we'll see the results for the second run, and we can merge into the contemplations. So the 85 is the total result. There is no improvement for Georgy Chivchan. And we're now waiting for his colleagues in the second qualifying group, especially this guy, Evgeny Losev, who got a 0 in the previous run. So why is by run so important? Because unlike top 16, top 32, it gives you double score. And then there's only 1 step away from top 8. So that is almost victory already in the previous 5 stages. So Evgeny Losev from Fail Crew team, there is a good tradition for the Fail Crew drivers like Arkady Tseregradzev to get 0 in the first run. I guess Evgeny just decided to support his colleague. Ivan Nikurin was the only one who didn't. Of course, now Evgeny Losev should not risk it. He needs to do it in the most reliable way for the judges not to annul this attempt, and Evgeny Losev does it perfectly, even though he could get a much higher line in the protocol. And here, traditional smoke curtain that hides some of the elements, but this is how it works at Sochi Autodrom. And since the Olympic Park is a very, very special place, and this is why we have no drone shooting, unlike in other cities, but maybe next time we will do it. So how is your mood, dear friends? How are you doing? Perfect. It makes me very glad to hear that. I'm very glad to see your reaction. Let me remind you that very soon we will make a break. You will have some time to visit the food court and buy some Black Monster drink. Evgeny Losiev gets 83 points. Also there you can see the promo zone of iMall company, where you can buy the new exclusive racing oil with a portrait of Daigo Saito. And there you can also register to participate in for the campaign Global Imolization to go to Japan to the Intercontinental Drifting Cup, or win the last of the 6 winter drift cars. Vaz 2104 is waiting for his owner. We used to have 6 beautiful Vazes, but now we have only one. Tetsuya Hibino from Fresh Auto. Hibino-san did his first run very carefully. I know he can do much better. Let's see whether he can actually unleash this potential. Yes, the first clipping zone is done. Wow, what a transition. That is very beautiful, and just a little bit of speed I wish he had. We can hardly speak of 90 points. That was a serious deduction. And for other clipping zones, I know that Kanemoto-san will definitely find something to deduce. The traditional fireworks we can hear from the exhaust system of the Supra under number 18. And we noticed how he waved his hand in a sign of greeting. Ivan Damir Diaturin is finishing the performance of the 6th qualification group. Of course, there is a lot to improve, especially if we remember the first run of Damir. And we are waiting for Tetsuya Hibino for his results. You see how endless can be the e-brake motion if you have the slow-mo, but you can see the DAMS system box, little orange thing on the windshield. Let's see the results of Hibino-san for this run. Only 19 for line 29, and for style there is some little improvement, but still it's not 90 plus, and only rank 6. And it's very sad that 5 leaders, maybe 6 if Nikita Fetisov doesn't make a 0, then 6 leaders after the qualifiers will go directly into top 16 through the procedure called the buy run, when the area is evaluated without the partner. Let me remind you that we have top 32, but we have less participants than that. Here we have the nitrogen tank, and the use of this is very vibrantly discussed. But this is the question that doesn't bother anyone in drag racing. Okay, so now we're passing the 2 clipping zones. I do not recognize Damir. Only 4 was more or less fine. And the 5th one, he gets in, but this is the situation when from the judges' point you can see it much better than from this smoke and lenses and all the other technical devices. And too many corrections, almost backward. Yes, the angle was over 90 degrees, which we can see throughout the zone. From 91 to 95 degrees was the angle. I really should get a kiss cam. Next year we must organize it. Okay, so the total result is 69 of the Mirjatulin. And we already hear the noise of the next coming engine. Number 19, Nikita Fetisov. Yeah, so this is the wounded rear side part of the car. Also the suspension suffered, and also the bonnet. Look, the bonnet is open. The newly built S15 with more than 1,000 horsepower engine. Yeah, so Nikita was not afraid, and he went with very high speed. At least 3 wheels were outside the track. There was a stop, even though it was short. Would the judges find the courage to give him a better score than 0? Nikita was doing his best, I know. We're waiting for the replay and some important information from the judges. And there's no 3, I guess it was all the 4 wheels. So let us not rush with conclusions. Yeah, this is not 0. Okay, so dear friends, the qualifiers are over. Unfortunately, Nikita Fetisov could not make it to the list of top 32. His result is 0. And the results of the qualifiers, we will see now on the screen. Yes, now I can understand the face expression of Nikita in this photograph. So here's the table with the results of the qualifiers. Daigo Saito is already the winner. Tomorrow we'll see him on the podium, that is for sure. The main candidates for the title are all here. We congratulate Saito, Kawabata, Chivchan, Ilya Fedorov, Kristaps Bruch, Tetsuya Hibino. They just need to do the by-runs in the top 32. Evgeny Losev with 83 points for his only resultative run is ranked 7th, and Fyodor Vorobyov with 79. Arkady Serigratsev with the same result. Ranked 10, Charles N.G., 78. Evgeny Rezhenikov and Didikaba have 75, just like Ivar Mustakirov and Dmitry Yermokhin. Ivan Nikulin, Denis Migal is ranked 16 only. What's next? Damir Idiatulin. Paradoxic result, 17, and Dresov is 18th. Vladimir Chivchan, Anatoly Cherbak, Arkady Puchinin, Magomed Amarov, Boris Abramov, and Ivan Kurembin ranked 24 with 44. Ekaterina Naboshenko with 42 and Alexei Golovnya with 40. And the last one is, he's the last one of those who did not get the 0. So therefore, we have 26 pilots who made the way to top 32. We will see them at 4 p.m. Moscow time for all the people present here. In less than an hour, we will, with a little delay, probably we will have the opening ceremony of the event. I will introduce all the pilots to you. Then there will be the autograph session that we will shorten a little bit, but you will still have the time to communicate with our drivers. And let me remind you that Black Monster, the manufacturer of the same name energy drink, invites you to fight for the prizes that you can get if you buy the Black Monster energy drink at our food court. Some of the prizes can be instant, and as for Camaro, the muscle car, he's waiting for the buyers of Black Monster Special Series. So go hunting. I wish you a successful hunting. Besides the fan zone of Black Monster Energy, there is the fan zone of iMall Racing. It is the manufacturer of oils. There you can see the new exclusive motor oil developed especially for the high-load engines, which is the combination of real racing experience and the expertise of iMall specialists. Racing line FE20E50, a very unexpected viscosity combination, and Daigo Saito portrait on the oil cans. His experience was also very useful for the developers, because who can know the loads on the car better than Daigo? And the oil was designed with high viscosity polyolefin composite ether that guarantees a high temperature viscosity that doesn't change with time. So please join the high technology world with a new product by iMall, a polyalpha olefin. I'm very grateful to the chemistry specialists. I feel really ashamed for my chemistry performance at school now. So now we start the break. As soon as I have more information about the opening ceremony, I will let you know. Now the pilots will have their briefing and discuss the qualification results. If you're watching the broadcast, we will see you at 4 p.m. Moscow time. Right now, we will begin the... we will show you the record of the opening ceremony. Thank you and see you soon.
Ни единой царапины. Видите?
Ага, видим.
Что она была в ДТП 5 раз.
Скачай автору и проверь историю перед покупкой.
Да у нее пробег почти нулевой. Посмотрите.
А мы уже смотрим.
Что пробег скручен.
Скачай автору и проверь историю перед покупкой.
Да вот документы, все чисто. Проверяйте.
Уже проверили.
Что машина в залоге.
Скачай автору и проверь историю перед покупкой.